Here's that interview we promised with Tim Ballard about saving our children. Watch. And joining us now is Tim Ballard. This is an incredible patriot, saving so many children around the world. He's the founder of Operation Underground Railroad. He's a former Homeland Security agent and basically using those skills, those talents to rescue children. What a noble goal. What a wonderful effort. Good morning. How do you do it?
Well, so I spent 12 years as an undercover operator fighting this, but it's very difficult to fight this with the bureaucratic system that's set up in our country. Like, they make it impossible, right? The private sector pretty much does everything better, right? And so I thought if we were private, we could not have so many restraints and jurisdictional limitations. Human trafficking is so transnational, so you can't be stuck in one jurisdiction. So about 10 years ago, we set out to go about it privately, and I was friends with Glenn Beck at the time because I've written a book about American history, totally separate, and he raised money for me.
Wow. And
so off we went, and we did a couple of big hits, big operations where we work with law enforcement, and we give them the tools they need. Oftentimes they'll ask us to be the undercover operators because unfortunately the United States, we're the #1 demand generally year after year for consuming child rape material, child pornography.
Crazy.
So because of that, we are what the traffickers are looking to serve, right? Service. And so they use us in Colombia, Mexico, other countries to infiltrate and pretend to be the clients, pretend to be the pedophiles. And then we're able to get in there and get the intel, get it back to the prosecutors, and they come in and take them down. So one of our very first operations was actually one that I'd worked as a U.S. agent, but they tried to stop me because of jurisdictional problems. So we went and did it, and we rescued over 120 kids, and
amazing.
And that's the film you see, Sound of Freedom.
Yeah,
it's about that story.
Yeah, we talked about Sound of Freedom on the show already, but to get the backstory.
Absolutely, and just you're talking about a little bit about the bureaucracy of getting this done. Is some of it that this is in the shadows, and people don't want to acknowledge that this is happening in America. Yeah, people don't want to for a couple reasons. One is it hurts too much, I think, and people just would rather pretend it's not happening. And I get that. Like every kid we help, I superimpose without wanting to my own children's faces there, right? Because you think, oh my gosh, these are kids. And then the more cynical kind of reasoning is a lot of people are doing this, and a lot of people in power, I think, are doing this. Right. And there's interest to block it and pretend it's not a real thing.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. Actually, you got us right there, which is a moment ago when you were saying, and I'm sure this part is true, but the second part could be too. The first part was there's bureaucratic hurdles to like cracking down on this. But then I thought, secondly, aren't there people in power who don't want you to crack down on it? So maybe those bureaucratic hurdles are not just normal government hurdles, it's Democratic leaders, it's Hollywood elites, remember Epstein and others who don't want the good guys to catch the bad guys.
Absolutely. I mean, just like you mentioned Hollywood. I mean, why does the United States, why are we such a huge demand for this? Because everything's pornified. You can't even go on Netflix anymore. Everything's porn. So our brains are conditioned to want sex in all its forms, and that's what leads to child trafficking. And then so there's an interest there. Now, politically speaking, I wear this shirt for a reason, right? Children over politics. I spent 10 years of my career as an agent on the border.
Yeah, children over politics.
Yeah, and it is disgusting what our policies are on the border. I mean, we are facilitating human trafficking. The wall used to be a bipartisan solution to rescuing children as the last hope before they come into the grips of the pedophiles of America. That's how we all saw it. Like, thank goodness that there's a channel that all the kids or drugs or whatever coming through so we can grab them and rescue them. And so this whole thing, they turned the whole argument on its head, and it's completely backwards. And they say that somehow it's more compassionate to open the borders and let kids come in and get raped. We're in. Hang on,
it's worse because we did a story in the last couple days, I'm sure you know, about how Biden now doesn't want DNA testing at the border. So a guy brings children with the DNA test, they could say, you're not the father, you're a trafficker. And now they don't want DNA testing. Why?
Well, because they're letting these. I don't know why. I don't want to sound conspiratorial, but it's disgusting. Put it in these terms. Like, if you found a child, if anyone found a child in Orlando or Salt Lake City or New York City, if you find a child, what's going to happen? They're going to take the child protection. Are they going to give that kid to anyone who shows up and says, "I'm the sponsor"? Yeah. No, they're going to do a DNA test. They're going to do a background check. These kids are afforded nothing. So you say Trump's racist or Trump's, what are you doing? You're treating foreign children like horrifically. Like you're not giving them the same benefit or that you give a kid in the U.S.
It sounds like you think that the left is like basically feeding the market for child pornography in this country right now.
Well, their policies are. I don't know their hearts. I can't understand their hearts, but I know they can't feign ignorance anymore because they've been told. I've testified before Congress several times. They know. I know they know what they're doing is facilitating human trafficking, and they don't care. There's some of their benefit they're getting. Why they're opening the borders up? Maybe it's future votes in their minds they're going to have, and they're willing to let children be raped in exchange for whatever benefit they think they're getting. Wow. But it's evil what they're doing, and they are absolutely colluding with, not like directly necessarily, right?
Yeah.
But their actions make them accomplices to children being.
You're calling it out. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
The man is Tim Ballard. The group is Operation Underground Railroad. Go online and support them. The mission is godly. It's just incredible.
It really is.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for what you do.
Thanks for having me on.